What is up, ladies and gentlemen? Some analysts have predicted that we have a 70% chance of heading into a recession, and others have said it's an absolute certainty. Now, while that sounds pretty scary, it also means we have a very rare opportunity to make huge gains in the next years to come. So in today's episode, we're going to be talking about just how likely a recession is, how we can use it to make money, and our exact investing plan for 2023. And at the end of this episode, we'll be making our very first investments into that plan today. So stay tuned and let's get started. Okay, so let's get right into the news. Over the last year, we have seen markets declining, we have seen inflation going up, we have seen interest rates rising, and we have seen GDP growth forecasts adjusted downwards for about all of the major economies, including South Africa in our latest budget. All of these are bad indicators. No one likes to hear these things, but does that really mean that there's going to be a recession? And if so, what does a recession mean exactly, and how will it affect our investments? Then the last and most important question is, what do we do? We're going to go through all of that, and long story short, there is something we can do, and something that historically has made people vast fortunes. So alright, thanks for being here on Casual Cash, and if you enjoyed the video, please feel free to leave a like. We're going to start off with the one question that is honestly the simplest, but very few people know the answer to. What is a recession? We know that it sounds bad, but what is it exactly and specifically? So for that, we're going to go to my trusty companion, Investopedia. They describe a recession as a significant, widespread, and prolonged downturn in economic activity. A popular rule of thumb is that 2 consecutive quarters, or 6 months, of decline in gross domestic product constitutes a recession. Recessions typically produce declines in economic output, consumer demand, and employment. So there is no specific number or formula, but the National Bureau of Economic Research typically give the official announcement. Our last recession, although it was only 2 months, was in COVID-19. Okay, so now we've got that. What happens in a recession? Well, basically things drop, such as consumer spending, then business income, and then employment. Usually interest rates drop too, but this time around they are rising. Then the last question before we get into the juicy stuff. How long do recessions last? Well, South Africa tends to follow the economic trends of the Western world, and the average Western recession is 17 months, but in the last 50 years, the average is 10 months because of improved economic policies over the years. All right, now for the important stuff that we want to know. What exactly does this mean for our investments? Well, there are 2 answers for that. Firstly is that it is bad for our current investments. I say that because historically during a recession, the major market indexes have dropped between 20 to 34% usually. But the second answer to that is that it means great things for our future investments. Let me show you why. Now, we've seen this before. It's a graph of the JSE Top 40 over the last 27 years. So tell me if you notice anything about the direction of the graph. Yeah, that's right. It is unmistakably in a long-term upward direction. That is because after every single market crash, after every single recession and major event, the market has recovered, reached levels from before the drop, and gone on to exceed and surpass those higher levels. Now, no one has a crystal ball, but chances are that the same pattern will continue to develop and repeat itself as it always has. So, let's take a step back here. If we look at these market cycles and the fact that the market will go down and up, then based off of that, there is another fact that's important to us as investors, which is that the absolute best time to invest to make larger than normal compounded profits is during these times of recessions and crashes. Just imagine if you had invested here, or here, or here, or more importantly, here. This point right now is the opportunity we find ourselves in today. Now, that's not to say the market won't go down further. It's very possible it will. But that is why we have a plan for that. And quite simply, that plan is index fund dollar cost averaging. This is Casual Cash, and we like to keep things simple. So why index fund? An index fund is like the JSE Top 40, which is the top 40 companies on the JSE. You see, individual companies are not always reliable. We've all heard of Steinhoff and other companies like Avenge, Robosis, Tongard, Hewlett that have lost almost all their share value. But indexes are almost certain to move in the same cycles they have over the last 27 years and not reliant on any one industry or management team. That's why for this plan I like the JSE Top 40 or the S&P 500 for example. Then dollar cost averaging. That simply means investing not all at once but in smaller amounts on a regular basis. If you invest one large amount, then the market could still go down and you have to wait much longer before seeing profits. But if you invest smaller amounts regularly, then you slowly buy into the market all the way down the dip and all along the way up, and you have much larger compounded profits that you wouldn't have gotten otherwise. Statistically, it's shown that even if you time the market perfectly or have the worst timing ever, it will still be beaten out by consistent investing over time. So that is what our plan is for the next year. We're going to be dollar cost averaging investments into the JSE Top 40 index slowly and regularly over time so that we can take advantage of the lower prices and make larger than expected profits as the markets make their way back up. Now, we also have an active portfolio where we take time to invest in specific companies. So for this recession plan, we're going to use an app called Stash. It's an app run by Liberty Group that I've used for 3 years, and it invests for you automatically into the market. There's a video on our channel with a full rundown, but you can simply sign up, link your card, and use the Stash app, and it will automatically stash between 5 to 100 Rand every single day into the JSE Top 40 index. And it's part of your annual TFSA, so it's totally tax-free. So for me, I'm going to start with 5 Rand a day, which is 150 Rand a month, and maybe top it up now and then. So for the next year, we'll be dollar cost averaging into the market every single day at these lower prices and looking to make progressively higher profits when the markets eventually come back up, and any dividends from the JSE 40 gets automatically added to your earnings. We'll show our progress here on the channel. So it's a helpful app, and if you download it from the App Store and use our referral code, it helps out the channel a lot. But also, what's quite cool, once you're using Stash, you can refer 10 friends of your own and you get 10 Rand each added to your investment they use it. So, I mean, that is free money, which is always great. And guys, that is it for today's episode, where we break down the chances of a recession and what our game plan is to make great profits. I hope you enjoyed the video, and if you haven't already, feel free to subscribe to the channel to follow our progress and for more market updates. But until then, I'll see you guys next time, as always, on Casual Cash. Cheers.